That Miami E-Prix, I would say, delivered. What an unpredictable weekend, from practice to qualifying to the weather and then the race. There's so much to talk about. On this new track, the Formula E's version of the Autodromo in Miami, which of course is renowned from the Formula One calendar, we've adapted, and we actually had a 56-second lap. That's crazy, super fast. Not a lot of corners, but I would say it definitely delivered on the racing, and obviously the weather just decided to sprinkle some madness into a series that kind of doesn't need any more madness. It's so unpredictable at the moment. But I've got some notes, and we're going to talk about that in this episode of Formula E Unscripted. Hello everybody, my name is Kyle from the Current Lap YouTube channel, and yeah, as a race, I would say that was fantastic. Obviously, the weather definitely changed a few things up, from starting under the safety car to having a standing start. That, I think, was a smart decision. Even Karun Chandhok said on commentary to let them warm their tyres up because they come out stone cold, to then start from a standing start was definitely the most entertaining we could have got. And I'm glad they didn't just, do one lap and pull it into the pits. Now for this episode of Unscripted, I'm going to do what I did last week, but start with it. The winners and losers of the Miami E-Prix. I think this is more entertaining than going through all the details at first, because I imagine a lot of you that have just watched the race want to know what I think more than what you've just watched in my terrible note format. So I'm going to go straight to the winners and losers of today. So let's start off with Mitch Evans. I mean, we can't not talk about the race winner. Obviously, great to see him on the podium, great to see him have a win. But to go from P17 to P6 in the championship, absolutely bonkers. Shows that this championship is still quite wide open. There's a few other drivers as well that have kind of pried open the championship contenders. But Mitch Evans, I think, did a really good masterclass. I actually wrote that down as a Mitch Evans masterclass, because he did really well. I think he took his attack mode at the right point. I think he kind of worked with Da Costa, but there was a bit of a nail-biting moment when they started, I think it was like second and first place they were fighting for, and they were coming very close. But again, Mitch is still trying to show that I guess he's the lead driver in this team. But yeah, definitely good. We can't fault him. He's a very talented driver. And the last season he was showing his form as well, and I think he's had some unfortunate results. So yeah, I would say he's probably one of the biggest winners of this E-Prix. I'm going to go to the biggest winners though, and that has got to be the Porsche outfit, because they really showed that, this team is coming back for that Constructors. They were P4, they are now P1 in the Constructors Championship, and they are P1 by a mile. They've got like 30 points in hand, and I think both drivers, we'll start with Nico Müller, fantastic drive. He did really well from qualifying, and then to have Pascal Wehrlein, who was outside the top 10, I think it was, when he started the race, took attack mode, I think, just after the front pack did, to get back in that position and just hold that position is just showing why Pascal is a world champion. And then to have those two drivers, second and third, and to create like a sandwich with a Jaguar in between on the podium, just shows that consistency between the two drivers, and this is something I mentioned at the start of the season, is what's going to win than the Constructors, and it's a massive round of applause to them. Obviously, Nico Müller did really well. I think he played some games with Drogovic at the start, dueling for that first place, second place, kept us on our toes. But I think, yeah, he showed his experience, and I think it now allows people to stop questioning whether he is suitable for that Porsche car, because he's performing. And Mexico wasn't bad. I think there were some elements that Pascal might have scuppered his race, but I'm going to go with, yeah, Muller's, we're going to see some consistency from him. And I think he's now 5th in the championship, somewhere around there, which is, good to score a load of points to get out of the sort of mid-range, because there's a lot of teams and drivers in this middle range. To talk about Pascal Wehrlein, we nominated him as our driver of the day. I think it takes two to tango, as I said in my post, and mainly because he was outside the points, and he's now, with his additional points, put Porsche miles ahead of the Constructors. But he's also put himself 2 points behind Cassidy in the World Championship. So he went from, what did I have him down as? I actually didn't write him down, but I think, here he is. He was in 4th originally with 23 points. he's now literally 2 points behind Cassidy, which is absolutely mega. So that's why he was nominated as our driver of the day. Another team to talk about, Jaguar. Obviously, it's nice to see them back. They are sort of clawing back what they've lost. They went from P10, which is absolutely plumb last in the Constructors, to P7. But realistically, from P7 to P3, there's about 10 points in it. So if they can stay consistent, and I think Da Costa was very unfortunate today, obviously to score points though is good to see. Obviously, they're going to need to crawl back. But I think Saudi Arabia, Jeddah is our first doubleheader, and I think if they have a consistent weekend, they could get to P2. They could get to P1, but I think Porsche I think are really comfortable right now, and I think it'd be really hard to knock their confidence. But P2, I reckon, by the end of the next race, 2 weekends, because it's a doubleheader, we could see another mashup of points, even more crazier than what we've had so far with these single headers. But yeah, Porsche, great race today. Bit of a nail biter as a Jaguar fan, just because, they don't need to crash into each other, but there was moments where I think Mitch and Da Costa were very, very close. I'm going to go for some honourable mentions as well. Obviously, Envision, fantastic to see them up again in the points, showing that the actual Jaguar powertrain works extremely well with this Gen 3 Evo car. Buemi was plumb last and got into the points. Had an interesting, questionable attack mode at the end, but I think was definitely, something we should applaud for a recovery drive. Had he started in P8, would he have potentially been where Mitch was? That's the question I wanted to throw in our prediction show, because Buemi seems to be fast. Obviously had a few errors in qualifying, but I think the Envision car is not far off the top of the pace. Obviously, they've now gone from P7 to P6, but as I've mentioned, the Constructors is really, really close. Nick de Vries, welcome back. I feel like we gave him a hard time with the first 2 races, especially when Mexico wasn't his fault. But obviously, he showed that the Mahindra car is still in fighting form, and I guess with Mortara as well. They were both in the top 10. Again, every point matters, especially at the beginning of the season, to make sure that you can claw as many as you can from the very beginning. So, and then my final honourable mention is just Ericsson. I mean, me and Corey put him in the bin at the very start of the season, but again, bringing that Envision team some extra points to get them out of the bottom end is just fantastic to see. So, who are our losers? Because I hate doing this. It's always the negativity, but we do have to talk about who's lost out. There isn't as many losers as there are winners this weekend. I think there was a lot of difference in today's race where we had some unpredictability, a lot of people out of position. But I think we all know who the biggest loser is, and some are not going to like to hear this, but Dan Ticktum. We didn't actually see on the TV what happened and why he was last position, but obviously he came into the pits, he was plumb last again. He's not scored any points here. I think he's actually officially now at the very, very bottom below Di Grassi because of the race positions and the sort of the DNFs that he has had. How frustrating. He, I believe, is a championship contender in this really close season, and we're losing such a talented driver. And I wonder whether we're going to start seeing his mood that seems to get more and more aggressive, which people love to see the rawness of it, but is he losing that confidence he had from Jakarta? Is he just losing his head? Is it going to start affecting his performances? I'm not going to comment on that, but I just want to put that in the air for you guys to have a think about, because he wants to score, he wants to finish, and I think he's really struggling at the moment. And that Kiro car looks pretty quick, because Marty was doing pretty well with it, and he's a rookie, so he kind of had extra experience with the rookie session, which I think is just crazy that they let him in it, but rules are rules. Another loser, DS Penske. I mean, what the heck was going on? I mean, he was the first lapped car, Maximilian Gunther. I know that some tried to do a dry strategy with the tyre pressures, but that was weird. Obviously, DS Penske were P6 in the championship. They're now P8, and they're going to start falling away from the middle of the pack where everyone is sort of scoring between 15 points a race with their drivers. So you do need to consistently score like the rest, and to have DS Penske and Barnard, not score as much as everyone was hyping Barnard up. Even I was. I thought he's talented, but I think that DS today was not. It wasn't here, was it? So, I look down and I read Nissan. Yeah, Oliver Rowland wasn't happy in, I don't think, the practices. I don't think he was happy in the qualifying. And obviously, they didn't really mention him in the race. We call him the Beast from Barnsley because he normally slaps it in P2 from any position on the grid. But today, there was just barely any movement. And same with Norman, didn't see much getting out of the P17 to P13. That's sort of where they sat with both Citroens, which I will mention, Citroen. Wow. I mean, that's Nick Cassidy, our current champion, and still the current champion. Yeah, didn't score any points. Neither did Nissan. I think that is, yeah, shocking. I think that's really given Porsche the upper hand now. They can have at least one DNF and still feel quite confident. Not that I think Porsche are going to want a DNF, but they worked hard today and it really shows for it in the championship. So those are my winners and losers. Notes-wise, interesting race. I think Formula E are doing some really weird stuff with their advertisements. I don't know if any of you saw them. The amount of digital stuff, and I'm not dissing it because I do think it's fantastic that they can do this augmented reality, but they're like so unproportionate to like how they would be in real life. Like there was one where they went round the corner and it was like the whole backdrop. So whether they were trying to hide something that was ugly, maybe, but it was just weird. And same with Mexico with the Roblox looking adverts. It was one of those where it will grow and it will get better, but it was just one of those things I wrote down, just strange adverts. The drone shot was pretty cool though. I think that was, you know, as that gets better in terms of quality, I think it does allow you to feel like you're following them quite up and close in comparison to the helicopter, but there's a surprising difference. The broken gap at the very beginning, absolutely love that actually, when the commentators were explaining it and how this actually has implications on the race, was actually quite nice to see. It felt very similar to other racing series where you have a leader pack, but because of energy conservation and how they were all fighting each other, it sort of closed itself down, which then made it more entertaining at the end. And this is where I started to see attack mode start coming in and being really tactical. Gunther being lapped was weird. Dan going out for a pit stop. The top 7 was a fantastic masterclass, and I am struggling to read my own writing in the excitement of this race. Yeah, just a recovery drive from just a few of the drivers like Marty and Buemi. Obviously they were at the very end, so yeah, exciting. And the final thing to mention, obviously we're going to the doubleheader in Jeddah, but there was on that weird looking sign an advert for Evo sessions. And anyone new to Formula E, the Evo sessions are essentially where they offer celebrities, content creators, people with a platform that can build sort of an audience to Formula E, get invited to actually do sort of a track day and a time trial against the other teams. We had, trying to think of who was in there last time. We had, I think Sergio Aguero was one of the drivers. I know that one of the guys from Yes Theory, I'm trying to rack them off in the head, also was there. That was a great video they provided. So it is trying to build an audience. I mean, we're probably too small at the moment. We do have a goal of getting to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the season. So if you can help and subscribe. I'm not going to do my normal plug apart from support the channel. Let us know what you think in the comments about today's race, and like the video if you enjoyed the content, because we're really trying to build a platform using and enjoying Formula E, because it is a sport that I think doesn't have a lot of attention. I love it, and I know a lot of you do too. So I forgot my key component to this show when in scripted, when we finished, we have to destroy the evidence. Anyways, I'll let the outro carry on. But yeah, what a strange weekend. Obviously Saturday night's great time to, you know, have the race. I think Formula E's format of one day is just a lot more better for a weekend. I don't know if any of you think that, but to be able to watch qualifying and the race on the same day just keeps the excitement going, and just, yeah, it seems to be great. Obviously we've got the doubleheader next. That's obviously in Saudi Arabia in Jeddah. We've raced here before. It's the night race. It's really exciting. So yeah, I think that's it for Unscripted. The winners and losers is definitely something I'm going to keep bringing to this series. So thank you so much for watching. And if of course you're new around here, this is the current lap.